Hi, everybody, and welcome back to New Ambassadors Interview Series. I think this is series number 5. Anyway, it's a Mojito Saturday, and today I'd like to welcome Maria-Elaine O'Brien. Maria-Elaine, say hi.
Hi.
Good
I
to
did
have
not get the memo about Mojito Saturday.
That's so weird. I mean, I've had Caipirinha Day. I've had Hemingway Daiquiri, Silver Fizz. You pick.
I'm drinking kombucha.
So Maria-Elaine and I have acted a number of times together, usually spouses, right? I think we've always been married.
Yeah, well, that's really why I'm here, to find out why that keeps happening to me.
I don't know. I hope you're not waiting for a proposal.
I am not.
Okay, our first question. How did you mainly, I think you're an actress, right? So how did you get started acting? How did that happen? How did the acting bug bite you?
That's a good question. If I don't think anybody saw that coming, actually. I'm pretty introverted. I mean, I was a goofball with my friends, my close friends, but I guess chorus class is what led to my first experience in theater, but I really didn't get bit by the bug until shortly after that. Growing up as a freshman in high school, we were still in the middle school before we carried over to the actual high school. And so when we were freshmen, we were seniors of the middle school, basically. And finally, we were going to have, be the seniors for the big musical. And then it didn't happen. We lost certain staff members and potentially an auditorium construction situation. I don't remember what the deal was because it was so long ago. But as a kindness, the theater director over at the high school, Mr. Lewis T. Bowlby, who was pretty infamous in the theater world, the high school theater world anyway.
That gives me pause. The infamous word gives me pause.
Well, I say that they actually developed a television show about his life.
Wow.
And books were written about him and everything, and I can give you that info later if you're interested, if you want to. But anyway, he, as a kindness, he invited us freshmen over to audition to be in the chorus of his musical over at the high school. So they would bus us back and forth. And so our audition was just an improv, and I didn't even know what an improv was, and I was terribly shy to begin with. But it was a wonderful experience. I did get to do it. And he held a summer workshop, which was the summer between going to high school for the first time. And a few friends of mine that were involved in the musical in middle school with me, and some of the others came and did it. So there was like about 4 of us that were tight that took this workshop with him. And I remember him playing Sweeney Todd for us, the filmed theatrical version.
Love that one of my favorites.
Yeah, and somewhere in the middle of seeing that, I knew that it was the point of no return for me. That I wanted to do that for what they were doing. I wanted to be a part of that for the rest of my life.
Oh, that's amazing. You'd make a phenomenal Mrs. Lovett.
Well, we were joking about this not long ago. David had asked if Paul Pegler and I what one of our dream roles was, and we both said Sweeney. But although David is willing to play Mrs. Lovett, so we might do a
I got to play Sweeney Todd, snippets of it when I was in college.
Oh,
and
so
also one of my dream roles. I would love to play Sweeney Todd. I think you and we'd be paired together again.
Oh God, what am I going to tell my mother?
Mrs. Lovett, eminently practical and yet appropriate as always. Mrs. Lovett, how I've lived without you all these years, I'll never know. That would be amazing. That's really cool. I mean, I will say you are a pleasure to work with. I always enjoy working with you.
Say.
Seriously, always. It's like one of those things. I'm like, ooh, Maria Elena's in it? Cool. What am I playing? Cool. Second question. How did you get started with New Ambassadors?
Oh, well, David and I met through the Playground Experiment, which is another wonderful company that we've had many wonderful experiences with. And he was already in the process of developing New Ambassadors at that time. And so there were some things starting to happen. He was feeling some things out in terms of like just trying some readings and things. And he had invited me on board to just wherever he could read stage directions or read small roles as they came up. And we just became fast and furious friends very quickly. We really enjoyed working together. And I, of course, am a huge fan of his work.
I remember reading with you in Gin Wars, which is
yes,
phenomenal.
I think that was perhaps my first experience with New Ambassadors. And
you were amazing in that. I'm pushing that damn show to Gin Wars. Please, producers out there, it needs to be done.
Well, that was super fun. I kind of got to jump around and play all these different weird David Lynchy characters in the background, and that's always fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and then I wound up becoming one of the founding members once things really started to build. And I love, of course, being a part of it. I love trying to make it evolve in all the best ways possible.
Cool. So what has been your experience so far? Do you have a favorite experience with New Ambassadors? Talk to me.
Wow. God, that's hard. I mean, there's been so many beautiful things have come out, and it feels like we've only just begun. But you know, you meet so many incredible individuals through this company and in this world, you know, obviously, you know, and with that, you get to witness all these creations being developed and growing and evolving, and you become so invested in seeing every part of that creative journey with these individuals, and then suddenly everything aligns, you know, and not only you, but everybody in the audience gets to see that individual finally shine in the way you have been rooting for so long to see them shine, so that everybody can see all these amazing things that they're capable of. And that is such a gift, you know, yeah. Right? And that's why I showed up in the first place. That's why I stay. That's why we're here, you know, doing this labor of love all the time. I don't think there's a single one of us that does just this. I mean, the world has gotten so much weirder since we started, but I mean, you know, on our best days, we don't get to do theater 24/7.
No, and I don't think people realize that's interesting. I don't want to digress too much, but I'm sure you agree with me. I hate when people go, so, oh, you're an actor, so what do you really do? I'm like, no, acting is what I do. And that's really across the boards for most people, unless you're some sort of A-list star, almost everybody, even Kathy Griffin, they all have supplemental incomes because we do, as opposed to most people, we work from job to job.
Yeah, and obviously, I balance it with teaching CPR.
I know, that's amazing.
And, you know, dabbling in wellness and other creative endeavors, and beautiful companies that I've had the privilege to work with, like ACT and Playground Experiment and New York Madness. These are all wonderful groups that we're crossing over with in the theater community, thankfully. But, you know, everybody, I know even my friends that are regular actors, performers on Broadway, again, they're never just doing that, especially the parents, God love them. You know, it's always a juggling act for artists, and it's really something that we have to bear in mind, especially right now, when so many artists are so vulnerable.
Yeah. And it's something, I always hate though when people ask that. I'm like, no, I'm an actor. That's first and foremost what I do. That's what I'm really good at. And so that's what's interesting too. I'm like, you do what you're really good at. And I think that was always my choice. I mean, on the side, I used to sell nipple rings on St. Mark's Place. But other than that, I act.
You're a Renaissance man, Todd.
I thought so. I thought my designs were really interesting. I mean, you know, I don't know.
Good on you.
Well, we didn't talk about this. I love this question. What is your dream role?
Oh gosh, there's so many of those.
Give us a couple.
Well, I already said Sweeney.
And playing
So
Mrs. Lovett, yeah? You're Mrs. Lovett.
Definitely one of my dream roles would be LV from The Rise and Fall of Little Boys. I've always wanted to play that role. Yeah.
Great role.
Yeah.
One of my favorite questions. If you hadn't have been an actor, what would you do?
Well, certainly some of the other things I do to make those ends meet, but probably a writer. I lost you there for a second.
I'm sorry, a writer, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, what kind of like playwriting, what kind of stuff?
Well, honestly, I've been exploring lots of different kinds of writing. I got to read my first poem publicly last week with ELÉNA, that wonderful artist community group that I mentioned before. That was very exciting and scary. My voice was shaking the whole time, but you know, even if your voice shakes. I wrote my first play last year. It's a short one. I started writing, the first thing I started writing, which I've been playing with on and off over the past few years, was actually a web series, a mini series that I'm still developing. I bit off a lot. There's a lot of chewing.
If you're in it and you need a husband, call me.
Oh no, I don't have a husband in this one. I'm
lover. I could be a lover too.
No,
I could even be a lesbian.
Actually, I think that you did read a role in it at one point for Playground Experiment.
Oh,
but it was neither of those things to my character.
I mean, I could be a lesbian lover too. I'm versatile.
Okay, good to know. I'll be collecting resumes after the interview, so please.
Yay!
Email me.
Last and final question. After all this hoo-ha is over and we can get back together, if you had an internet date and they showed up covered in whipped cream with a cherry on their naughty bits, would you remove the cherry?
At least. At least.
These are important questions. People want to know.
Where did that question come from?
Don't know, the top of my really screwed up brain, which anyone who knows me.
You could be a lot easier on me. I mean, I have to say, interviews are not exactly my go-to happy place. And I feel like I'm doing pretty good here.
No, you are an extroverted introvert. That's what's funny, and people don't get what that is. You may be introverted, but let me tell you something. When you turn on the spotlight on you, even if it's just you, you're on. You are.
There's more than 31 flavors here. That's all I can say. And I guess they have to come out somehow.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about it. I've really enjoyed our time. Thank you so much. Thank you for asking my question about the whipped cream and the cherry. I think inquiring
I'm already regretting that.
Oh, it's an important question. I will see you soon. Love you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.